morning and welcome again to Summit. It's good to be with you again today. And like we always do, we are discussing current affairs on the program. Now, recently on Monday, the 23rd of October 2023, a commercial court in the UK rendered a verdict that significantly altered the course of a protracted and complex legal battle between Nigeria and Process and Industrial Development, that's the P&ID. The judge made a ruling that set aside an earlier arbitral award against Nigeria, and there's been celebrations across board about that judgment. That's what we are discussing on the program today, looking at the issues and then also lessons for the polity. I am Jumoke Michaels. You're welcome. Banji, good morning.
Yes, my name is Banji. Yeah, Jumoke, good morning. How was your weekend?
It was great, thank you.
Great. On this program, on every edition of the program, we try to educate, we try to discuss issues that affect you and I, particularly national issues. And these are issues that have helped this nation, because whatever we discuss on this program, you can be sure that those in power are listening and are watching, and it's helping us to advance the cause of our nation. My name is Bandi Busari. Just as Jumoke said, it's a very protracted issue, and there's so much lessons are actually derivable from that judgment. You're welcome, sir. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Barrister Jide Ologun is talking little or no introduction. All right, you're welcome, sir.
I always highlight a development advocate, a barrister at law and a development advocate. It's our pleasure, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So help us understand this recent judgment, particularly the journey to this recent victory by Nigeria, in the legal battle.
You know, in the words of the judge that decided on the matter, Robin Knowles, that this was a case of fraudulently awarding damages against Nigeria, the Nigerian government, by some stakeholders on international front. What Nigerians played prominent roles, which was like entering into a contract on behalf of the country that was intended to fail, so that award could be slammed on the country. And of course, we had an award of $11 billion. You can try to translate that to Naira, that Nigeria could have paid to P&ID, and the court has said no to that. And interestingly, one of the critical stakeholders in that fraud has died, so, and it's quite unfortunate that even though this is a moment of rejoicing for Nigeria, because I wonder where we could have gotten that $11 billion to pay. So it's not as if they are paying us $11 billion.
It's just
they are just preventing us from looking around to pay them. But my concern is that what happens to the culprits? And that's the big question.
Because there was actually a contract.
Maybe before we actually get to what happens to the conflicts, institutionally, and then looking at our own internal mechanism, is it possible? How possible is it for a few individuals to actually commit the nation to so much humongous figures without actually following the due processes required, and then looking at all the legal angles to it? This was a contract that was never executed, and some people, have made millions out of it. So how possible is this? Our system so weak, the structure so weak that anything can just take place?
Apparently, the system is weak on how it became possible. Authority. And it's like asking how it became possible for an accountant general of the Federation.
That's Malami.
Exactly. Accountant general.
Accountant general.
Okay, the accountant
Malami
general,
was
the attorney general.
The accountant general to steal
80 billion.
Billions.
It was more than
the
80
one
billion.
entrusted
with our treasury.
So we have an epileptic system of accountability in Nigeria, and there's no doubt about it. The same question we are asking. We've seen vessels set on fire on the sea, stealing our oil. But who are the investors behind this oil theft? A former governor of Rivers State has tried to point the government to who the bunkers are likely to be. Tompolo tried to help the government. So is it that we know them, we look away? And in industrial psychology, there's what we call reinforcement theory. So if you don't stop the flow, you reinforce it because they build up their arsenals and improve in their crime. So until we begin to have consequences, we are going nowhere. Because this P and ID now, we have escaped paying $11 billion. But who are those behind that fraud? What would there be consequences? Some of them have collected bribes, different kinds of things. The country would have lost some money because of this. Because
no, the country would have been grounded. You recall what the former president said, President Muhammadu Buhari, was saying that it would have affected the entire gamut of activities. I mean, education, health, workers' welfare, and so much more. So it's not just a question of doling out the money, it would have grounded the economy.
And again, what about the money that have been paid to lawyers who have gone to defend the case, all the protocols and everything, administrative charges in the UK and all this? So, and we need to be proactive. Accountability is one of the key elements of good governance. And I want to ask this question. Can you imagine this happening in a place like China or Japan or North Korea? Talking about consequences now. The same issue that the government came out, not that the citizens confronted the government. The government came out to say, okay, now we have identified about 400 sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria. But where are they? All the way in Dubai, about 6 of them were identified, prosecuted, and convicted.
But we have a history of such international, fraud. At such a level, we've had the one that occurred during President Obasanjo's tenure. Can you remind me the name? The culprits in the US were actually apprehended and punished. Our own people, the collaborators here, those who were complicit in the whole fraud, have been set free. So, how is it possible for us to think that the solution will come when we've had history of several such frauds in which the culprits have been let loose and they are walking the streets, free men?
It's the same question that is bothering my mind. The Zianist case is there. And that case you mentioned, the former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, was also in the eye of the storm there. And like you said, Jefferson, who was involved in the US, was jailed. You know? So, and to test the jurisprudence of two nations, look at the case of Ekweremadu in the UK. Organ harvesting, modern slavery. And even though we were claiming in Nigeria that he was a honorable member, has done well, the UK said no. We are a nation that has zero tolerance for modern slavery. And again, let's just try to test the virtue fabric of Nigeria.
Virtue fabric.
Chief Olusegun Obasanjo wrote to the UK in the case of Ekweremadu, in the eyes of obvious crime. And that may be the issue in Nigeria. Maybe if I'm stopped on the road now, the next thing I do is I pick my phone, call a big man. That anybody that they have stopped me here. So the big man tells them, "Oh, that's my younger brother. Let him go."
That's what we do.
You see?
That's what we do.
And that is why, and if there are no consequences, we go nowhere.
All right, now that this judgment actually only exonerated Nigeria, like you said, what about the people who perpetrated that crime? It's huge corruption. Now, who is it the country that should now, should what Nigeria be doing now be to prosecute these people, to show that they are actually ready to fight corruption? Or should they just go free?
Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. So the law is there, and we have several other laws that can help. But is the government willing to fight corruption? Former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan confessed that there were cabals in his cabinet. You know, I'm sure the immediate former president of Nigeria, Buhari, also had a tough time with corruption fighting back. So, and if corruption is fighting back successfully, that means we have a sick and weak governance system, because that should not be the case. So what is expected of Nigeria now is to go after those culprits to prevent others, because it appears now in Nigeria that criminal elements are getting bold, that nothing will happen. And I understand the National Assembly is now asking questions about billions of naira spent on turning around moribund refineries. But there was a National Assembly when they were spending that money. You know what I mean? So we are often reactive. In the case of the former governor of Delta State, Ibori has not been arraigned in Nigeria for some of the offenses. He went to jail in the UK for 13 years. So these are issues. So are we ready? If there are no consequences, you reinforce crime. People do what they like.
It may be too early in the day to actually assess the tolerance level of this administration for corruption.
Absolutely.
But looking at we've had a recent event of allegations against the chief of staff, I still want to draw from the inference you made about you being stopped on the road, and then the next thing is that you call the man at the top. Now the president has come out to exonerate his chief of staff, that the allegations were unfounded. But in other crimes, do you not think that maybe investigation should have been the first thing to be done before such clearance or such exoneration will come?
Do we resign in Nigeria?
Do we?
Do we resign from office in Nigeria? That's a big question. It's part of the governance culture here. It's the last thing to do, and sometimes such person is forced to. The Prime Minister of UK stepped aside. In fact, before the one there now, a lady got there and realized that, hey, the tax before me, I cannot cope. She willingly stepped aside. But not in Nigeria. Not in Nigeria. So until a court pronounces, until people... In fact, recently, Wike eased some people out of office. People started protesting. Some were saying, I'm not going to... So it's the same culture. When people can look at the eyes of government and say, what can you do? You see, I say we are the ones who own Nigeria. You see, so these are issues. And on the president expressing vote of confidence in his chief of staff, it's personal to him. But the advice I just have for my president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, whom I respect so much, is that his tenure is running. So what will he be remembered for? And I hope it is for apparent developments in the country, rejoicing. God has summarized it by saying, when the people rejoice. And you have a choice on who you bring around you to work with you, but you have a responsibility of accountability. At the end of the day, we can pick the history book now and want to study the tenure of Buhari. Some people may not remember who was the Minister of Labor and Productivity during Buhari in 8 years to come. But Buhari was the leader of the country. So it is. So it's now the turn of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So let's see whether he will express what some have said about him as a transformational leader. The resources are there, and we hope that the country will be better. That is the only way to go.
Okay.
Now, the independence of the three arms of government is so key to growth, development, and progress of the nation. Some people believe, the opposition believe that the executive has actually pocketed the legislative arm and even the judiciary. The recent doling out of SUVs to the National Assembly is deemed to be kind of corruption. That is the executive trying to woo, lobby, and then pamper the legislative arm, such that it will be a case of rub my back and I rub your back, so that the government, the executive, can also have its way to do certain things. Now, what's your own view of all of that?
Firstly, the legislators are entitled to equipment of office.
Equipment like cars.
Exactly.
Tools.
To operate. That is sacrosanct. Globally speaking, you empower those who have called to serve so that they can deliver. But where the issue is that in empowering them, you must let the realities reflect. So if Nigeria is the third richest country in the world now, I think my legislators should have private jets given to them so that they can fly anywhere, go and study anything and come back.
And this to avoid the bad
But
roads.
in a country where about 150 million citizens are within multifaceted poverty window, it's worrisome. And a nation where the pump price of petroleum per litre is above 600 naira. So you bring all these vehicles to be fueled at taxpayers' expense. So I think that is the issue. And that is what we call pragmatic approach to leadership. You look at what is on ground. So vehicles, they need vehicles. Again, we are shouting about foreign exchange. Can we have locally manufactured vehicles? Can we begin to trim our taste? But I don't want to say much about this, but to bring up the saying of the wise, that the poor man buys luxury first, the rich man buys luxury last. And if you want me to explain, I will explain, but if it's okay like that,
I think it's loaded.
so let me just echo. The poor man buys luxury first, the rich man buys luxury last, because we have cash flow to sustain the luxury. You see, but the poor man just wants to show bigness now. Now. Instant gratification. And I think that is the case of Nigeria. The lifestyles of our leaders is not sustainable by the economy of the country.
That?
The lifestyle of our leaders is not sustainable economically. And we enforce it on the nation. And that is why we may find it difficult to tame crime.
And corruption.
Corruption is already established.
Whoa.
And I hope the government will have the will to fight it. What I'm saying is that people are angry, people are hungry, and in public relations, we have this 1978 Mexican statement that says public relations is the art and social science of monitoring trends and predicting their consequences and recommending what clients can do. People are angry, people are hungry. And I pray we won't come to a point where spontaneously some citizens begin to attack the wealthy as a way of just appeasing themselves. And it's beginning to happen. In Lagos State, for instance, go to the traffic, drive an exotic vehicle, some people come banging on your glass. Yeah, give us. Say a lot of things.
Forcefully.
I know a particular guy around the Keja here, So, and your car breaks down in Lagos, and we are talking about quiet banditry coming up. Your car breaks down in Lagos, some miscreants will come from nowhere, and charge you 75,000 naira before you even bring your jack from your car. And they are ready to rob you. So different kinds of things. So when you don't balance the gap, it's dangerous. But I know, and I have recommended, that we can look at the template of Netherlands. I think the Prime Minister of Netherlands goes to the office on his bicycle, and others follow suit because they just want that flat engagement with the citizens. So there's no room for any gra-gra in that society. And they have a high level of security and prosperity. We know some other countries of the world. So if we are going to equip our leaders, we must be able to afford it. And that is why when a legislator came out to say that the ministers have 3 SUVs, so 3 times 48. So people are on edge. People are on edge. It does not appear to the citizens that the leadership understands the enormity of the hardship.
Yeah.
And that is a mismatch.
So,
Okay.
what would you now advise our president? I mean, you just told us that he has a very limited time.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
no.
that his tenure is running already.
His tenure is running. I mean,
Yes.
it's limited, whether or not we like it. 4 years.
Okay, on
4
that
years
note,
is running. I mean, it has a limited time. By 2027, he has to renew his mandate or check out of the office. Now, because the world is watching, and he promised that it's not going to be business as usual. Now, what do you advise him to do, particularly in this case of the P&ID culprits who are still working freely in our midst?
Investigate them further locally and arraign them if that is the conclusion of the investigations. And I've always said that the criminal justice ecosystem thrives on 3 pillars: thorough investigation, diligent prosecution, and a committed judiciary. So if there are no consequences, we read about worst cases. And what about Ajakuta still rolling mill? Different kinds of things that we... Now, we understand that the Prince and Mint have been paying themselves illegally increased salaries, billions of naira. And so you just find people in a country that claims to be poor, just dealing with our wealth. Billions. So if you go after them, hold them down, make them accountable, then you will have enough oxygen to breathe. But if these guys and girls, permit me to use that, are left in circulation, they have the capacity to frustrate government efforts.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for throwing light on this issue of P&ID and lessons, highlighting lessons for the polity. Thank you so much, sir.
We thank God. God bless Nigeria.
All right. So we'll be moving into another segment of the program, showcasing another, program that held in Lagos recently. The government
This is what we know how to do best, and it's good connecting with our viewers. Yes, this is a fresh edition of the program Summit. My name is
In line with its commitment and strong pursuit of its themes agenda, the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made history recently with the flag off of the commercial operation of the Blue Line Rail in Lagos State. The governor, who boarded the train with his wife, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, his deputy, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, Lagos State Commissioner of Police Idowu Omonwa, Lamata MD, and a host of other dignitaries, as well as the first set of passengers, could not hide his excitement, stating that the dream of the administration had come to reality.
Please, for all of our passengers this morning, this is a county-run train service. This is a non-cash county-run train service. Be careful on the platform. Watch the platform very well. Don't drop into the rail track. Be careful when you're using a turnstile. Make sure that your car reads the turnstile so that the gate will open for you. Please, let's do it one at a time. Let's do it one at a time. People should not rush. The train will wait for you. The train will wait for you. Please, don't rush through the turnstile. Media men, all of our stakeholders, this is a daily trip and we have to go smoothly. I have my card and I'm hoping that everybody has their card.
Lagosians will be happy. At least everybody wants to join, want to take a ride. They want to come into the train and see how it feels like, in Lagos. Not like Abuja, Lagos now. So I think the Lagos State Governor is doing a good job.
At few minutes past 5 p.m. on Monday, September 4, 2023, the governor boarded the train from Marina to Mitv and then rode back from Mitv to Marina on its maiden operation.
can occupy different places. National Arts Theatre Station, mind the gap between the train and the platform. Make sure you are not forgetting any of your personal belongings. Your phone, your personal bags. This is the National Theatre. It's going to stop for 90 seconds. 90 seconds.
The excitement of the governor as well as that of the passengers was not misplaced in view of the years it had taken Lagos State to achieve the dream of its founding fathers and indeed Sanwo-Olu's predecessors. The idea of Metro Rail project was first mooted by the first civilian governor of the state, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, in 1980. However, the project was stalled. No thanks to the cancellation of the project by the then federal military government under Major General Muhammadu Buhari, the then military head of state. However, good ideas, they say, never die. The project was resuscitated by the administration of Governor Bola Tinubu, which created Lagos State Transport Management Authority, LAMATA, in the early 2000s. In its vision, LAMATA designed a 30-year strategic transportation master plan towards an intermodal transportation system in Lagos State as against the mono transportation system. The succeeding administration of Governor Fashola took up the challenge by starting the 27-kilometer light rail project from Marina to Okokomaiko, but could not complete it. Governor Akinwumi Ambode, who succeeded Governor Fashola, continued the project, but could also not complete it.
Because nobody ever believed it's going to come into reality. But today now it has come to reality. I'm sure everybody will be happy to see this kind of something. And also it will even enhance the economy of Lagos State to move forward. Because like all this gridlock and what have you, so it will make it convenient for each and every one of us to move on. And it will also add more value to the growth of our state and the country at large.
Since assumption of office in 2019, Governor Sanwo-Olu and his team rededicated themselves to a successful completion of the project. Tuesday, 24th day of January 2023, will go down as an unforgettable day in the history of Lagos State. On that day, the dream of the completion of the project became a reality as the first phase of the 27-kilometer Blue Line Rail from Marina to Mile 2 was inaugurated by no other person than former President Muhammadu Buhari, the very one whose military administration had cancelled the project some 39 years ago. What a curious coincidence of history. However, the actual operation of the Blue Line Rail commenced on Monday, September 4, 2023. The 13-kilometer first phase has 5 terminals, namely Marina, National Theatre, Igamu, Alaba, and Mile 2, with a projection to convey 250,000 passengers daily. Each train is made up of 4 coaches, each of which will comfortably accommodate about 180 passengers. Apart from its comfortability, one of its other attractions is the fact that it is fitted with free Wi-Fi system for the enjoyment of commuters while on board. In his post-commissioning interview, Governor Sanwo-Olu emphasized the importance of the new transportation upgrade, which included ease of movement and reduction of traffic time. He added that this is a good testimony to a promise made and a promise fully kept.
Plan with it. Okay? It's leaving National Arts Theatre Station. The next station is the Orile Station. I'm not only excited, everybody on this train is excited, and this is promise made, promise kept, right? We said that we're going to start by the end of last quarter, right? But we also wanted to coincide around our 100 days. So it's part of our 100-day celebration. Today is the 4th day of September 2023. And we're excited because now we can start commercial operation. We can start real passenger operation. And you can see all of our citizens are on board. with their cowrie cards. We've been able to embark, right? We just left the National Arts Theatre station now. We're going to the Igomu station. From the Igomu station, we'll be going to the Alaba station. From the Alaba station, we're ending at the Mile 2 station. We will all disembark at the Mile 2 station because we need to change the platform on our return journey if we're going back to the Marina station. And you can see everything is synchronized, it's been timed. The amount of seconds or minutes is going to stay on each station is known. It's not more than 90 seconds, which is a minute and a half, because it's mass movement. It has to move thousands and thousands of people on both journey, right? So what we're starting with the peak hours, movement, and I'm told we'll have a small lay and we'll go on the peak hour again. I think from Lamata's time schedule, they're starting from 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock, right? And they will, because it's off peak, they'll wait again till 4 o'clock in the evening and they'll run the operations again till 7 or 8 o'clock. So for them to be able to gather traffic, because you just don't want to be running an empty, train, so that people get to know it, people get to plan with it, right? And over time, people will now know the scheduling very well, and they can increase and improve their scheduling, as the passenger, passenger traffic increases. And we've done a lot of work. We've been doing this advocacy for 6 months. We had to actually pull back, ensure that we've crossed all the T's and dot all the I's. We've done all of the barriers that we need to do. We've put all of the signalizations and all of the signs that will show danger. We've interpreted, during the communication in various languages, in Yoruba, in Egu, in Igbo. Every of the, of these signs and signals are repeated in different languages so that people will get to know about it. And so we've done all of these things, right? But you can never be over-prepared. But we ensure that everything that is humanly possible, we've done it. And we'll continue to do the advocacy.
On the platform, we have an extent to which passengers can move. We have what is called tactile pavement. It's a yellowish kind of line. You don't go beyond that line. And when the train gets to the station, you allow those on the train to alight first before you go on the train. And we have also said that on the train, we will not allow eating or drinking, because the train is powered by electricity, and water can conduct electric current. So we don't want anybody to get electrocuted on the train. So when you're on the train, you don't eat, you don't drink.
For Lagosians, particularly the residents of the axis covered by the first phase of the Blue Line Rail, the new transportation mode will usher in a new lease of life, which will facilitate other several value additions, such as enhanced commercial activities, a reduction of traffic congestion on the roads, and making living in Lagos much less stressful than had hitherto been the case.
Actually, I'm so happy, and part of this good as in boarding for the first time the metro line in Lagos State. I feel good, I'm excited, and also I think I need to thank the Mr. Governor for doing a good job. Kudos to him, and kudos to the entire Executive Council of Lagos State. And also I want to appreciate Lamata for bringing this to life for us to see today. It's a great pleasure to be part of the team, and I really think that things is really working in Lagos State. Actually, I must confess, it's going to be a turnaround in terms of movement, and it's going to reduce the traveling time. Is going to be reduced. Let's say, for example, you want to move from Mitv to Costain. It will only take you about, I guess, maybe about 15 minutes. You can say it saves time, it saves energy, and it's affordable, and also it's honestly it's comfortable. Yeah.
I'm very happy. My experience is that I'm very happy. And this is my first time of experiencing this type of movement before. And it is very interesting. And I am very grateful to Mr. Governor for all these things he has did in Lagos State. So I pray to God to let him continue and enhance his knowledge in making our state better.
Yes, I was trained with the governor. The experience was wonderful. I should even say interesting, because this is my first time being on a train, and we have a last track card. The card is the one that we put there. There is no money. Nobody's paying. Our teachers, our principal, none of them paid. We just use the card. We could get on the train and we sat down, and it was awesome. I think it will ease the stress of transportation, and it will be wonderful.
76 trips will entail that some people will come down at different train stations and some other 2 people will enter. So you will not discover that for a particular trip, you could be looking at between 1,000 to 1,003 passengers. So when you now multiply that by 76, that will tell you how many passengers the train will carry in a day. Well, from our own projection, we believe that the train will carry between 150 and 170,000 passengers per day. The business of government is to create an enabling environment for business to operate. So that said, this train system has been funded by government. So it is going to be operated and maintained by the private sector. And before we get to this point, there's a service level agreement that has been signed, talking about maintenance, talking about recruitment, talking about, timetabling for the rail system. So all of those things have been factored. And last week we have the GIR, General Inspectors of Rail, from Federal Ministry of Transportation. They have certified, they came and saw this system, and we laid our plan before them. They have looked at it and they see that it's a workable plan.
It is hoped that the second phase of the Blue Line Rail, which will run from Mitv to Okokomaiko, will be completed within a foreseeable future, such that Lagosians will experience better and seamless commuting within the metropolis.
The red line is going to be completed before the end of this year, by the grace of God. We're about 95–96% in all of it. So, for the red line, we have over bridges. We have Yaba Bridge. They're going to open the bridges for vehicles to start moving on top, so that will begin the signalization that red line is coming up. Right, we're almost completing the retrofitting of the trains, and they have also started recruitment of train operators, of train managers and all of that. Then we will start the unveiling of the various stations themselves. Red line is actually, in my view, actually even bigger than the blue line, right? So it will come. It will certainly come. I'm trying to get everything, all the T's crossed and all the I's dots. We're just doing finishing in all of it. Terminal buildings. They've started actually. They've started from we've awarded the contract from mile 2 all the way to Okokomaiko. And by the grace of God, we will cut the tape in this our administration on the second phase. We will cut the tape.
Government realizes that we cannot do this as business as usual. Don't forget, this rail system is going to be powered by electricity. So we cannot play any kind of game on it. And so we have a regulatory system in place that will ensure that this train is maintained as at when due.
During factors, we have to change our orientation, because whatever we must have done is meant for you and I.